Karam for the kind invitation for me to be here this evening. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you and to break fast. I think that I also want to share a personal story. It's not quite as funny as the one that we just heard, but I think it goes well with the theme of this evening. When I went to college, I went to a small, well, not so small, liberal arts school in the Southeast. And I was very committed to not be put in a niche, which was the Muslim niche, when I went to college. I was very proud of my Muslim identity, very proud of my Pakistani identity, and yet I was really afraid that if I only hung out with Muslims, that was going to be my entire story in college. And so I kind of purposefully stayed away from the Muslim community for the first couple of months. And then I had girls in my dorm who were like, why are you doing this? You know, why don't you come to a meeting with us? So I went to a Muslim Students Association meeting and I met many other wonderful Muslim students. I eventually became the president of the MSA many years later. So my foray into not wanting to be a part of that group ended pretty quickly. But one of the things that I remember very clearly is that when I started becoming friends, especially with other Pakistani students, I often got a question of, well, what kind of Pakistani are you? And I said, I don't know what that means. You know, like, I'm from Pakistan. What else do you want to know? And they were like, well, where in Pakistan? I said, okay, I'm from Karachi. Okay, so are you Sindhi or are you Urdu speaking? Or are you Mahajir? Are you this? Are you that? And you're definitely not Punjabi, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know. And then there were questions about Islam, like, are you Sunni or are you Shia? And I thought, I think I know this. I think I'm Sunni, you know. And then they were like, okay, within Sunni, what madhab are you? So I called my mom one day, and I'm thinking, you did not prepare me for these questions. And I said, am I Punjabi? And she said, no. I said, okay, am I a Mahajir? And she says, do you even know what Mahajir means? And I said, no, tell me what Mahajir means. And so I had this history lesson of my people in Pakistan. And one of the things that I realized, and then when I started asking about, so she told me about Pakistan and my heritage in Pakistan, and then I came to the Islam piece, and I said, well, are we Sunni or Shia? And she said, that's when my dad grabbed the phone, and he said, why are you asking these questions? Who is asking you these questions? And I said, all of the people, that I'm in school with. And he says, you are Muslim. You tell them you are a Muslim, period. And I said, okay. So I was armed with that. And of course, I don't want to simplify anybody's faith or anyone's background, because of course, these questions are important, in fact. But this evening, we're here to celebrate intracultural relationships. So we may not all be Muslim here, we may not all be Pakistani, we may not all be Turkish, we may be coming from different nations and tribes, and what does God say about that in the Quran? This is the month of the Quran, and I thought we often recite this verse at KARAMAH, my organization, and I thought to myself, maybe it's a trite verse, and yet the Quran and God's words can never be trite. And God said, I created you into nations and tribes so that you can know one another. And inshallah, that is what we're doing here this evening. We're knowing one another, and I just want to remind everyone that in our world of constant forces that are trying to divide us and trying to cause schisms in our communities within the Muslim community, we should fight against that, because God himself told us that we should get to know one another and have dialogue. So with that, I will let you eat. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we follow the crazy Turkish time, which is like 3 more minutes, which is the beauty of the United States. There's no central authority on timing, and the time you follow is 8:43, and there will be azan too, so I profuse apologize for that last delay.